Alright guys, today we're here to talk about my virtual pinball machine. So, you guys know I did a video about a year and a half ago or a year ago on my virtual pinball machine that I got from Game Room Solutions. And this is the new build that I did, and let me tell you guys, this is tenfold better than what I had before, and I'm going to go into why. I'm going to go into why this Game Room Solutions is definitely a better model than what I have. I'm going to go through all the changes that I did on this one. Obviously, it's a completely new model, completely new features, and I added a bunch of stuff to it, including some solenoids, a shaker, SSF, a bunch of different things on here that I was able to fit in here. So we're going to go ahead and get into that video now, and let's talk about how good this cabinet is.
Gaming tech, eating brekkie is the gaming tech. Going for a brekkie is the gaming tech. Gaming tech is the gaming tech. Gaming techie.
Alright guys, so first let's talk about Game Room Solutions cabinet here. So this is definitely, easily, a way better cabinet than the old one. And let me tell you why. Let me first lower this volume a little bit. For the time being. So let me first tell you why this cabinet is much better than the old version. First of all, this cabinet is better, just an overall design. Obviously, you can see the back box. I like it a lot better because you actually get a DMD screen. DMD screen is on there, which is awesome. So I have a third screen now, and it's awesome to have toppers on there and the DMD separated from the back box. And more importantly, the two speakers are now in the front as opposed to underneath the cabinet, which was, of course, wasn't great. So now I have the two speakers, the front speakers, sitting in the front. And I did put my own grills. Those black grills are something that I got off Amazon for like 20 bucks or less than that, because they just had the wooden pieces up there that look kind of hideous. Now it kind of looks uniform. So that is something I added on my own. So that was really cool. And then, so that's the main feature, of course, is that. The second main thing is that I didn't put the PC inside. I learned from my mistakes last time that putting the PC inside was a pain in the ass, especially with how their drawers work underneath. So instead what I did is I actually have the PC sitting right here on the floor. As you can see, it's sitting right there behind the pinball machine. That left me room to be able to add things that I'm going to be talking about in this video, like solenoids, like a shaker and all that stuff, which I couldn't add in a small cabinet like this if I took all the space inside for a PC. The next thing that I really like is, of course, that's brand new, is these controls up top. You wouldn't think that this is a big deal, but it actually is a very big deal, guys, because before there just wasn't a lot of buttons. Now you get 4 extra buttons, including one to actually navigate the menu with, which before was kind of a pain to navigate the menu because there wasn't an actual joystick. Now I can actually navigate the menu with the joystick. It's easier for people to use, and I don't have to tell them, hey, this red button goes up, this one goes down, the left one goes left, the right one goes right. No, there's a joystick. Everybody knows how to use a joystick, and it makes navigating the menu so much better. And of course, since there's a joystick and we have some buttons on top, there are some main games that I added on here, so now you can play some, shooters that go this direction and play a few of those on here if you want to. But of course, that's just an afterthought for me. Virtual pinball is what this is for. The next thing that I added that was fantastic, that they, not something that Game Room Solutions did, except they actually give you an insert for it, which I couldn't get an insert the first time, is this actual virtual plunger. The virtual plunger was fantastic and really easy to add. They obviously cut the whole for me. I got this plunger, really easy to install, connects via USB, a couple of settings in Visual Pinball, and it works with a lot of the Visual Pinball games. Of course, the tables have to be programmed for it, so not every table works, but most of the ones I play do work with the plunger. So overall, I'm really happy with the way that this turned out as far as from Game Room Solutions standpoint. Much better cabinet with these controls in front, with the digital plunger, with the back box being the biggest thing with the 2 speakers now in front and the third screen on there. A much better build, a much better looking. And as you guys are seeing here, you guys see that I did get the Stranger Things artwork. They usually do a really good job of attaching the artwork onto the cabinet, and this is no exception here, except for one of the caveats that we're going to get to here in a second. But yeah, that's what it looks like there. Stranger Things is what I got. Stranger Things was technically a cabinet that I wanted for virtual pinball. That's one of the first ones that I saw. So it made sense for, as big of a fan as I am of the show, and also how big of a fan I was of the actual table that actually got me to look into virtual pinball. It kind of made sense in both directions. Now, one of the disappointing things, so there's obviously going to be things that Game Room Solutions still doesn't get right, even though my experience on this is much better, and I would recommend this product to people now as opposed to the last version, because most of the issues that I had before have now been resolved. But one of the major issues that's still terrible is their instructions that come in the box. The instructions for the pinball table were not great. The pictures are really small, so it's hard to see what pieces they're talking about. The pieces aren't labeled like IKEA, where it tells you like A, B, C, or any of that. So you kind of have to look at the pictures and guess your own game. The good thing about it is that we actually were able to follow. They actually have a video that Game Room Solutions made where it actually showed you how to build it, and that was pretty easy to follow, especially since I built their last one. I already had a rough idea of what was going where, so it was much easier. And you know, follow the video. Don't even bother with the instructions. The video definitely is much better. I had the instructions on the side, but I wish they would label the pieces and make their instruction pictures bigger so you can actually see them. But I digress with that. The second thing that we got to talk about that actually came in error, unfortunately, and you guys probably already noticed it, is the front here. So you can see here that the Stranger Things, they accidentally printed this backwards. So my artwork is obviously sitting backwards. I noticed it when I basically had this thing almost fully built, unfortunately. So I did get reach out to the customer service. The good thing is that they respond really fast. They responded in less than a day, so their customer service seems to be getting better as far as responsiveness and getting things resolved. And they immediately were shipping me a replacement out. So I have a replacement for that. The only problem is that you know, I would have to basically dismantle this whole thing, or almost the whole thing, half of it at least, to get to you know, this to fix. So I'll do that one day, but everything's working so well right now. I don't know when I'm actually going to do it. The only good thing for me is that I kind of think about it that it's the upside down from Stranger Things, and that this was actually on purpose, even though I know it wasn't. Because obviously Netflix Stranger Things is sitting there written upside down. But if somebody asks me, especially when it's dark in here, no one's going to notice this. And if somebody asks, I'll be like, yeah, it's the upside down from Stranger Things. It's meant to be that way. So that's how I wrap around my head around it. But eventually I'll get to it. They did send me a replacement. It was unfortunate that it was, you know, printed upside down when I first got it. That was the only issue I had with the cabinet that actually had to be resolved, is the artwork was unfortunately printed backwards. Everything else came in great shape and came in the box as it should. So again, the cabinet itself, I'm really, really happy with. Much better than version 1 for all the reasons I already mentioned. The customer service seems to be doing better. My only two problems were, again, which was unfortunate, and the instructions are still not great, and luckily they have a video for this one as opposed to the last one where I didn't have a video to follow, so it was a complete mess, as you guys know who watched my previous video. One of the other things that they actually messed up, which was really annoying also, I almost forgot about this, luckily I just remembered. This was the worst of the 3 problems, so I mentioned I had 2, so I forgot about the third. The bigger problem, and this kind of goes to Game Room Solutions, I don't know why they wouldn't catch this, but basically, the DMD screen that's sitting in here is the one that they recommended. It's the one that's on their website. It's their recommendation, right? You can't really tell because it still looks really good, but it is not perfectly flush with the screen. If you get really close, you can tell the right sides and the left side are not fully up in there. And there's a reason for that. I'm not going to go and show you right now because I'm not going to open up the back because it's hard to get in there, and things are working well for me right now. But basically what happened is that the DMD screen has the HDMI on the top, and the wood was basically in the way. So I had to cut a slit into the actual wood so I can actually route the HDMI as close as possible. I couldn't get it to sit flush, which is why this isn't perfectly flush right now, but it's just annoying that it's a screen that they were recommending, but there's no port or there's no hole in the wood for the HDMI that obviously has to go in there, which is complete nonsense to me. That is the worst of the 3 problems. I can't believe I almost forgot that, because that's really my only major issue, because of course this got fixed, so no big deal. It sucks, but they did send me a replacement, so no big deal there. But this one obviously sucks, and I had to do some digging there to get that to work, and it's still not perfect, but it's something that no one will notice. When you're playing, like right here, you can't tell that screen isn't perfectly flush. It actually looks perfect and does look flush, but when you get up closer like this, you can tell it's not perfectly flush. So that was the only annoying thing that I had with the cabinet that was kind of nonsense to me, that they wouldn't have caught that. But again, know that going in. I would still recommend the one that they recommend. Just know that you're probably going to have to finagle a slit into the wood to get that HDMI to actually fit in there. And, you know, you're going to have to finagle that in there. But after that, you should be fine. You're not going to be able to cut a hole completely into the wood, because then you'll lose the whole entire back piece. So I cut as much as possible, and that's why it's almost flush. And it looks flush to the naked eye when you're playing, which is really all that matters. So it still looks great, as you can see there, but annoying. Anyway. Moving along here, so let's get back. Let's talk about some of the things that I changed on here that actually makes this cabinet, you know, much better than the other version that I talked about. So as you guys know, like I said before, I had the PC sitting down there, so I don't have the PC underneath, which opens up a lot of room to actually add things inside, where before I had the PC inside because that's what it was labeled to do, and then it didn't leave me a lot of room to add extra things. I was just getting into virtual pinball, so I didn't even know if I wanted to add extra things because I didn't know what the hell I was doing. So flash forward now over a year, and we add some things added. So basically, let's talk about the first thing here. So the screens. So the back glass here is a 1366 by 768. It's also the one that they recommend on their website. I think it's an 18.5-inch screen. That looks fantastic. The bottom one is a DMD screen that they recommend. It's a 1920 by 1080 screen. 7-inch screen, I believe, is what this is. Either way, perfect size in my opinion, and it looks really great and vibrant there in the middle. I don't know if you can tell on video, but it looks great there in the picture. Here is a 4K screen, of course, here in the center. 27 inches there for the main playfield. Of course, the next thing I added is the virtual plunger. We talked about that a little bit. That's a nice upgrade, and it makes the games much more fun to play that I didn't have before, as opposed to just using a button. Really easy add. Recommend everybody add that. The other thing I added onto here is solenoids. So solenoids are basically, and I'll show you guys when we get into some gameplay here, but solenoids are basically when you hit, you know, when your flippers are actually getting hit, and when other parts of the board are also getting hit and going up and hitting like the mechanical things on top, that will actually make noise. And if you didn't have solenoids, it's making the noise, you know, just through your two front speakers, and that's it. It's not actually making the actual loud noise, which you guys will see when I talk about the gameplay. And I didn't have that before because I didn't know how to set that up. Well, somebody out there made a kit for the solenoids, and I'll have his link in the description below because it's fantastic. Basically, I'm going to try to get you guys underneath here so you can kind of get an idea, even though it is dark, on how this actually looks down here. So you can see the solenoids I have down there, right there. So basically, this is a giant piece of wood. I have 2 solenoids in the front and 1 in the back. So I have 6 solenoids in total, 2 in the front on each side, and then 1 over there. He basically mounted the solenoids for me. He mounts them on a piece of wood. You basically literally do, when I tell you guys that you do nothing, you literally do nothing. You literally take the piece of wood that he gave you, that the solenoids are all connected and stuff, and you use the 2 screws that he even gives you. You screw it to the left and right side of your unit. He gives you the power supply that this thing needs, and you can see that right up here. That is the power supply. You connect it comes connected, but you're gonna obviously have to disconnect it to mount it, and then you just connect it back to the power supply with the 2 cables, 1 for the left and 1 for the right, and you drop in a couple of files into the DOF settings into your thing, and he walks you through it, or he'll even log into your machine if you don't know how. You know, I had a couple of questions for him, and he answered me immediately. And that's it. Now I have solenoids working with all of my games, and I'll show you guys exactly what solenoids do and how fantastic it is. I didn't have that before, and it tenfolds makes the experience so much better to actually have that haptic feedback and actually feel it and hear it. It's fantastic, and definitely one of my favorite upgrades that I did, and I can't believe I went this long without it. Moving on to the next thing is surround sound. So before I had 2 speakers and they were obviously underneath. That was nowhere near as good as it was before. Now we're talking about having 2 speakers in the front like they should be, right? I got 2 speakers there. We got the amp sitting right there for those 2 speakers, like usual. But now what I did is I actually added surround sound underneath. So basically what I have there is with the surround sound, I have 1 on the right, 1 on the left, 1 on the top, and 1 over there. So basically it's like surround sound. If you think about how home theaters work and stuff like that, it's surround sound for virtual pinball. So basically what it does is when the ball is up here, you'll hear it coming from this side. When the ball's up here, you hear it coming from this side. When the ball's rolling from the top and it comes to the bottom, you kind of hear the ball actually rolling and coming towards you and hitting the speakers in the front, which sounds awesome, and it makes it feel like the ball's actually rolling towards you, just like a real pinball would. Because now when you and it's really easy to do. You obviously just buy 4 speakers. I added some Dayton speakers here on the bottom, like I said, on 4 corners. You get amplifiers, so these are for my front 2, and then here on the back, I have the other 2 mounted right now, just for placeholders until I mount these securely, just to see how they were working, because I just got these working today. I got 3 of the same amplifiers. 2 of the front ones go here, 2 of the back ones go here, 2 of the front ones go there, and then I got a USB sound card, 7.1 sound card for USB, which obviously I didn't have 7.1 surround sound on my PC, So I basically got that USB sound card, and I was basically good to go. You wire that up like you would any other set of speakers, and then you go into Visual Pinball, you set 7.1 surround sound, you go into Windows, you make sure that they're set to 7.1 speakers that you have with that USB sound card, and that's it. Then all the tables, most of the tables in Visual Pinball start working with 7.1 surround sound. And again, it's fantastic. And the coolest thing, which I'll show you guys here in a minute, is the coin. When you actually hit and drop coins, now it actually sounds like the coin is actually dropping right here. It's not coming from the front anymore like it was before, but now it actually drops the coins here. So it's really, really cool, and one of my favorite upgrades as well. So between, so we got the surround sound we talked about that. We talked about the solenoids. One of the other things that I added is a shaker. So with the solenoids, I got the guy who gave me the solenoids, he recommended a shaker to me, and he actually wired the power supply that he gave me to work with the shaker. So all I had to do was literally plug in the wires into his power supply when I got the shaker, and I was good to go. His setup was already set to work with the shaker and my 6 solenoids. I had to do no other customization to get the shaker to work, which was fantastic. And the shaker's awesome. It works, like I said, a shaker is probably the one that works with the least amount of tables, because not every table has shakers, but most of the ones that I play do. So it's awesome when, like, you know, you hit a certain thing on the table and it's supposed to make the table shake, and now it actually shakes my table, which you guys will see probably during the gameplay here, and it actually makes it feel like you're playing a real pinball table, because now the table's actually shaking. So it adds even more haptic feedback and even more coolness to the actual table. So yeah, between all of those new features that I just talked about right now, you know, that I added, we got the, like I said, the virtual plunger, we got the surround sound feedback with the speakers, we got the solenoids, and we got the shaker. This is a much better pinball table than I ever had before. No questions asked, especially with the third DMD screen. Like, this is a tenfold better virtual pinball table than I had before. There's no question about it. And the setup was not as hard as I thought it would be. Everything seems to be working really well. I have it in a perfect place right now. Everything is solid and working. So now that I told you a little bit of an overview on what you guys see on my table and the things that I added to it, and an overview on how Game Room Solutions did with this table, let me show you some gameplay on all of this kind of mounted together so you guys can get a feel for everything that's going on. Alright, so here we are at one of the tables here. So let's go ahead and go to one of the tables here so I can give you guys an idea of how things sound like. So right now I have the music sound on the top 2 speakers turned off, because I want to show you guys the surround sound I was talking about before we get into some gameplay on the actual table. So for example, let's go ahead and start Avatar here.
Table loading.
And just so you guys know, if you guys are curious, I'm using Pinball Emporium on here. Pinball Emporium is a really good starting place for all of us who are trying to learn visual pinball. And obviously I've added my own table since then as I've learned. Because a Pinball Emporium comes with a certain amount, and then it doesn't add anymore. You have to go and get the tables yourself. So we keep everybody happy out there, all the creators and stuff. And again, just like I said in my last video, shout out to all the people who make these tables. Because without all the creators out there and all the hard work that they do, we wouldn't have these tables, and we wouldn't be able to play these at home. So they're definitely not forgotten and not missed at all. Like, they do fantastic work for us to be able to play these tables at home here. And these are fantastic. So these are one of my favorite tables here. This is the, tables like this is Pinup Popper, which basically has videos playing as you're playing. I know a lot of people don't like those in the pinball world apparently, because they want it to be mimicking exactly how pinball was in the arcades and stuff. But I love that digital pinball brings stuff like this, where I can see my favorite TV shows, my favorite properties while I'm playing, like depending on what you're doing, showing a video. But for right now, we're turning this completely off. So these sounds are not playing. So these 2 front speakers are now turned off. So you're not hearing any of that. So that video is now currently basically not playing, because it's supposed to be coming from the front. So only the 4 speakers on the inside are turned on. So right now, and again, I know this is going to be impossible for you guys to hear on video, but I'm just giving you an idea of what you can expect if you add surround sound. If I hit this yellow button to add a coin, that coin that you just saw, or that coin that you just heard fall, I'll do it again. That is coming from the front left area. So that is coming from the left speaker on the left. And it feels like the coin is dropping at your feet, like it would if you were using a real pinball machine, because the coins would drop right there. So it adds a really cool effect that you wouldn't be able to do if you didn't have surround sound, which is a really cool effect. Same thing with the ball. For example, if I were to add coins here, like it's asking me to, and then I press start, you can see the ball is there, right? And then I use my virtual plunger, as you can see. On the screen there, it's actually moving to where it's supposed to, and then I let go. If I just let the ball fall on purpose, and we'll talk about those solenoids here in a second. If the ball falls, I don't know if you guys heard that and how easy it was to catch on camera, but that clacking that basically came from the front, so it made it seem like the ball when it fell through like the whole of the table, like on a real pinball table, where the ball obviously goes underneath the table, where it's supposed to go. That's what that surround sound just did. When that ball fell, it basically made it seem like it fell down here. I'll do it one more time to see if you guys can hear it. Let that ball fall again. So that clacking and that falling is coming from right here, which just sounds really, really cool, again, with surround sound. The other thing surround sound does is, again, I'm just describing this to you guys because I know it's impossible for you guys to hear without being here, but when you roll the ball up and you hit it, when you roll this up, the noise starts from this left speaker and then rolls up to this right speaker and then starts interacting with all the speakers depending on where the ball was. So when I hit it from here, I can hear the ball going up through here. And then here come the solenoids that I was talking about. So these little, the three things, poppers up there that are going off, that's making the noises with the solenoids. The flippers, of course, as you're hearing. Let me add some more coins because I just lost. So the flippers, of course, have the solenoid. So if you can hear this, see that loud clacking noise? That's the noise that those flippers are supposed to make if you were actually playing a real pinball table. But I didn't have those before. I just had it coming from the two bottom speakers or even these two speakers. It is nowhere near as good as having true solenoids into an actual pinball table. And for those of you guys, we've even played the arcade one-up version of the pinball tables they came out that had the haptic feedback on the side. You guys have an idea as well. These are more powerful and definitely have a much bigger bump when you hit it, but the arcade one-up gives you the idea. Like I had the Star Wars one, and that's where I heard it for the first time, and I was like, oh no, I need this for my virtual pinball table. So, like I said, it hits the flippers, it hits these two things, it all does the solenoid. So if you hear this right now, when the ball drops, solenoids are getting hit right there. As the ball comes down, I can hear it from the speakers. You can hear the roll. There's the shaker I was talking about, so see how the ball got in there? It just shook the whole entire table. See how those solenoids are going off again? And the ball's coming down, and I can hear the ball rolling down, coming to here. Sounds that I couldn't hear before because there were no sounds like that on here before, because now it has 721 surround sound, so it can actually give you that feel of the ball moving and coming down. So this just makes the experience so much better. There's another shaker part when you hit that area here. Those are getting hit with, and the solenoids are going off of there as well. And there goes the ball underneath there as well. So that is, so you can hear all the mechanical noises, so you guys get an idea. All those mechanical noises that you're hearing. When the ball popped up, you heard that little clacking noise as the ball popped up to make it seem like the ball just hit there. So all of these effects are all because of the surround sound that makes it feel much more alive, as opposed to all of these sounds coming from just the two front speakers, which is obviously nowhere near as cool. If you press the coin button and the coin noise is coming from the front, yeah, it worked, but it's nowhere near as cool as hearing that coin drop from here. It's nowhere near as cool as the ball dropping from here and you hearing the noises of the ball fall. So SSF is really cool, surround sound. The shaker motor is really cool, and the solenoids are awesome that we're talking about here. Now I'm going to play a little bit just to give you guys how everything sounds. So if I were to turn this up to where it's supposed to be, because the music was, of course, like I said, all turned off. So now we have everything going. So now we have the sounds and the video playing and all everything going. Shaking, that's how it's multiple.
Find out what the blue monkeys want. It looks like we're going to see some multi-ball. Standing. I think it's crazy here. Mobilization.
Yeah, you guys got the idea. A lot of shaking with this table. Usually it takes a while for that shaking to go off. let these fall. I'm gonna let these fall on purpose. That gives you guys a little bit of gameplay on what you guys can expect, and then of course I'll exit right here. I'll lower the volume for you guys. So I have like I think I have like 340 tables on this currently. A bunch of ones with those videos because I love pup tables. I know, like I said, I know some people don't, but these are all my pup tables here. A lot of variety. Everything is now in sections. So I have like the pup tables area, Zakaria tables. Everything has like a theme now that you scroll through the top as you're seeing there. Everything has this nice artwork. You know, got pinup event tables, got future pinball, FX2, FX3. All the FX3 tables are organized in their own categories, like, you know, a Universal tab, like you can see here, or a Star Wars tab. You know, you got a TV theme area that I have on here, so you can scroll and look for all of, if you're looking for a particular table, and you know it's part of a TV show or you know it's part of a movie. You even have a video game category. You have originals, but you can see here I have a video game category that I have on here. You know, Alien, Doom, and stuff like that. There's the TV theme I was talking about, so you can see some TV theme ones. So they're all organized in their own area, so it's easy to find certain things for that you're looking for, basically. So yeah, my virtual pinball table, like I said, I'm really happy with it now. I don't really have any complaints anymore. It's a much better pinball table than it ever was on the first version. This is what version 1 should have been. It's unfortunate that I had to like get this one to basically make the first product what it should have been. But yeah, this is tenfold. Like I said, it's probably worth the upgrade even if you have the first one, if you're into a virtual pinball cabinet. Just because of like the controls up here, the digital plunger, the third screen, the speakers in the front. I know it sucks to have to buy a new one, but I'd almost consider it if I had to. But yeah, that should give you guys a good overview on everything I added and what I think about the Game Room Solutions virtual pinball table, the new version that they came out with. A much better product. Still a couple of caveats like I talked about at the top of the video. Caveat 1 was, of course, that they sent me the front, as you saw here, backwards. Lucky for me, Stranger Things, I could just pretend that it's from the upside down. But they did send me a replacement, so kudos to their customer service. I replied fast and got that out. So that was fine to talk about there. But, of course, the bigger disappointment is the back glass, the DMD screen. I had to, like, actually cut a hole into the back to actually fit the HDMI cable, even though it's their recommended screen that they told me to put in there. It didn't fit the HDMI cable. I had to, like, literally cut an area for it, and it still couldn't be completely flush, or else I would end up ripping the whole board. So I got it as close as possible, and luckily, when you're standing in front of this like I'm playing right here, that screen looks like it's perfectly in front like it's supposed to. You would never know until you're up close like I showed you guys before. So, you know, those are my two biggest issues, of course, the artwork and that back screen that I had an issue with that is now obviously working as it should be. And, of course, like we talked about at the top, as usual with Game Room Solutions, their instructions are terrible, but everyone who buys them probably already knows this by now, even though I wish they would just improve it, add some labels to these goddamn parts that they come in, make the pictures bigger on your instructions, and label the letters so everybody knows the letter A goes on letter B. It would make the instructions a lot easier, but at least with this pinball cabinet, they actually have a video that walks you through pretty well, so it's not too bad, but, you know, they need to improve those, like, printed instructions regardless. But yeah, if you guys have any questions about what you guys saw in today's video, guys, as always, leave those down below. If not, thank you guys for watching. Till next time.